Alright, y'all, we're not really solving any mysteries on what exactly this movie is about. What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter, back with another movie review. Today we are talking about The Woman in the Yard.
Today's the day.
Like I said at the beginning of this video, it's a pretty straightforward title for a movie. Doesn't really leave much up in the air of what the film is going to be about. This is the newest Blumhouse studio film. So Blumhouse has released movies like Insidious, Night Swim, Five Nights at Freddy's. So there's a lot of like ups and downs in their quality of movies, but Blumhouse is such a great studio for horror or for movies in general because they will just release whatever they want to. They will fund a lot of projects, which gives kind of like pretty bad projects sometimes, but also really, really good ones that any other studio probably wouldn't finance. And that's where The Woman in the Yard kind of fits. Is this movie like interesting enough premise, really straightforward title, but would any other big studio fund this film? Probably not. And right before we jump into this review, please be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me over on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify for podcast versions of these reviews. And without further ado, let's jump into the review. So yeah, The Woman in the Yard is a very straightforward title for a film. Doesn't really leave much up to the imagination of what this is going to be about.
And Mom, there's a woman in the yard.
But the movie itself, for such a straightforward premise, is just interesting enough to keep you invested in this hour-and-a-half story. The premise is a woman in the yard, surprise, surprise, haunts a family that lives in this rural country area. As the story goes on, there's much more peeled back in the narrative to add new elements and twists as the movie goes on. So it's not just as straightforward as the title of the movie makes you think that it is. The most interesting thing about this movie is this family dynamic. So you have a very broken down family. It's a mom and two kids who are unfortunately missing their dad. Their dad passes away before the beginning of the film. And you have this very broken family that is grappling with the loss of their dad. And the person that has been hit the most with this loss is the mom. You see that she isn't really taking care of her son or daughter, that their house is kind of falling apart. The electricity is not on. They have no food. And as you're being introduced to this family, this dynamic, you are then introduced to this terrifying entity that is the woman in the yard. That being said, with the movie being just interesting enough to kind of bring you along on the narrative, the first third of the movie and the last third are much more interesting than that middle section of the film. The movie is shot in a very intriguing way. The cinematography, like sweeping camera or like upside down camera shots, mixed with how the movie introduces you to these characters, the way they like give you just enough information to let you know who they are, but you feel there's something withheld, mixed with the introduction of this woman, makes her an incredibly interesting, intriguing opening for a film. And as you are introduced to this woman that's draped in black sitting in a yard, she is actually genuinely terrifying.
Get off my property. You children are such darlings, ripe enough to eat.
Very creepy lines, very creepy aura, like she is aura farming for real. But unfortunately, once everybody's introduced, once you know what the story is or kind of know what it is, as you move into that second third, the film becomes this like house invasion film where the family is just stuck in the house and the woman is sitting in the yard, and then like every couple of minutes she gets closer and closer and closer. In that middle section, the film really does start to drag. Right at that middle section, I was like, let's move it along, y'all. We get it. She's moving closer. Everybody's scared. You don't know what to do. And then it kind of goes on for like 20 to 30 minutes. But as you get into the third act of the film, there is more here revealed. Like you have a feeling of what exactly this woman wants with the family, why she's haunting the family.
Close the blinds, Tay.
And then that third act does give you a satisfying reason as to why she's haunting this family. So once those narrative layers the curtain is pulled back as to why this woman's haunting a family, this family, it makes the third act of the film and just the film in general much more tense, much more intriguing, and you want to see exactly how this mom and two kids are going to get out of the situation, if they are going to get out of the situation. With that being said, the film definitely does fall into a lot of horror tropes, like characters making dumb decisions or like strobe light effects of being chased by somebody. And so while the movie does have a satisfying narrative twist to it, and the ending is open-ended enough to leave the audience guessing like exactly what happened. A little spoiler section, small spoilers here, because it has been revealed why the woman in the yard is haunting the family. I do think the mom killed herself at the end, because the mom basically asked this woman who is death, essentially, I'm getting creeped out talking about it, to kill the husband for her, and then now has come back to collect on the life of the mother. I think she did kill herself, and that little dream at the end was that exactly a dream. Maybe she did survive and decided not to do it, and it's like a little bit more of a happy ending. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. So, the verdict. The movie does have a satisfying ending to it and a satisfying reason as to why, or a satisfying enough ending and a satisfying reason as to why this woman is haunting this family, but it is not interesting enough to be a full-fledged film. It's definitely like not a bad movie, it's just not really good. This is like the definition of mid. It is right there in the middle. All that being said, I'm gonna give The Woman in the Yard a 6 out of 10, and on a see it, stream it, or skip it, stream it. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on The Woman in the Yard in the comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on my review. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Check out some of my other videos here. And as always, I will see you all on the next one.